Markov Chains, Lesson 2, also known as Lesson 13. So we've talked about single-step transition probabilities. Probability of going from state I to state J in one time interval, whatever that time interval happens to be. So now we're going to talk about n-state transition probabilities. So what's an n-state transition probability? Well, let's say we start in some state, let's call it 0, and we want to know the probability of getting to transition to state 1. So to get from 0 to 1, we have some transition probability, Pij, which in this case is the probability of going from 0 to 1 in one time step. Now, let's say we want to know the probability that we go from 0 to 1 in 2 time steps. So we have a couple ways that this can happen. We can have 0 to 1 to 1. We can have 0 to 2 to 1, if that's feasible. 0 to 0 to 1. So there are 3 different combinations there. Now, note some of those probabilities could be 0, but let's write that out. We would have 0, 0, 1, and this is now, and this is in 2 time steps. Okay, we could have from 0 to 1 to 1. In this case, we had 0 to 2 to 1. I think that was it. So in 3 time steps, we have 3 different ways we could get to where we end up in state 1. And so we are going to have some probability of going from 0 to 0, probability of going from 0 to 1. This will be 0 to 1, 1 to 1, 0 to 2, 2 to 1. So the probability of going from state 0 to state 1 in 2 steps is just going to be the probability of that happening times the probability of this happening. And because of the memoryless property from here to here, we're using the same P01 that applies any other time we're in state 0. So this probability for the second row, we're going to have P01 times P11. Go. Now we're going to have P02 times P21. So those are our 2-step transition probabilities. And the way that we're going to write this is this is going to be P01 in 2 steps. So we can generalize that to P state, the probability of going from state I to state J in n steps.